Hey, Lee Merriweather here. You know, the lawyer decided to become a sawyer. Well, here's one of the saw blades that I use. It's a brand new saw blade. See how nice and sharp that is? It's an 1.5 inch wide, and that is a Turbo 7. Well, these things do an absolutely amazing job cutting wood, but you know what they don't cut so well? Metal. In fact, a brand new saw blade is one of the best metal detectors out there. Now, in all seriousness, I do get questions about, two questions I get is, what happens to the saw blade after it strikes a piece of metal? And two, why don't I use a metal detector? Well, I'll answer the first one first. So that's what it's supposed to look like. And after striking this, or something like it, that's what it looks like now. So you see the teeth have bent completely over, and in some instances, like here, the teeth are completely gone. It just ripped them off. So yeah, not designed to cut metal. Now in other cases, you'll find batches of nails that usually I find these or something like it that was used to, say, hold up a yard sign or something like that. Well, if you look, so you can see the sharp edge there, but after hitting the nails, there was a group of them. That's what it looked like. You can see that the tips are all gone. So this saw blade is no longer usable. It has to be thrown away, unfortunately, along with that one. Because normally I'm able to sharpen my saw blades as they get dull. So then the next question is, well, why don't you get a metal detector? You know, why do you, why don't you figure out where these are first? Well, so let me give you an example of what happened with that one. So I had a beautiful log, really old log. It was, I'm guessing, 150 years old. And sticking out of this log was, now it was a white oak, and often you could tell there's metal in the wood with some staining on the end. I should have a picture for you, but I don't right now. So sticking out of the log was something like this. They had a hammock on it. And so I removed it. And so I thought, well, that took care of the metal. Well, I kid you not, about 10 inches down, there was another one. So maybe, a couple, 2-3 decades ago, somebody had had another one of these, had a hammock on it. I don't know if it was the previous owner or the same owner, but there was a hammock in the same location, and this was buried way down in the wood, and it was buried like this, so the saw blade literally cut through it like that. I may pop a picture in there so you can see. I had to cut that thing out with a chainsaw to get it all out. So that happens sometimes. You think you've gotten rid of it. And the other thing is, most of those metal detectors I found online, they only go so far into the wood, and somebody told me to get something that will really go a decent amount into the wood. You could be spending $2,000. So now all of a sudden, you're spending all this money. It's going to take a while to find the piece of the metal. And then the next question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to cut the log in half to get out and throw away a perfectly good white oak log? That if you're quarter sawing, I've seen quarter sawn white oak go for $12, $13 a board foot, 8/4. And why would you give up a good log if, the worst case scenario, you lose a saw blade and then cut this out? And so, yeah, you got to change out the saw blade and everything, and it stinks, but you still got a tremendous amount of very valuable wood out of the log. So, and I'll tell you this, it will take less time to find, I know it sounds weird, but less time to find that metal with your saw blade than it would to run a metal detector through it and then use a chainsaw to try to cut into it to find it and everything. I can swap out that blade most of the time. Sometimes it gets buried in the log and I got to literally cut the saw blade out of the log. But it really depends on the wood. For instance, if I've got pine on there and I hit 2 pieces of metal in that pine log, I'm ripping that pine log off the mill and I'm tossing it. I'm not using it. hit something, I mean, if I'm milling up something valuable like walnut, black walnut there, or white oak or something like that, I'll let the saw blade find it. But otherwise, the metal detectors just aren't worth it from both a time standpoint and expense standpoint, and you may just ruin a good log. That applies for these bandsaw mills because these saw blades aren't that expensive. I charge, if I hit metal, I charge 35 bucks for the saw blade. It's not quite that expensive, but the reason I charge that much, I include shipping, and I include the fact that I lost the value of that saw blade. I can resharpen that saw blade, I don't know, 9, 10 times, get lots of great use out of it. So I lose that resharpening value when I lose the log. So I charge 35 bucks. If you get a sawmill, like what's they're called frick sawmills, but anyways, a big circular sawmill, and that thing hits metal, you're really down. It's the replacing that blade or the tips on that blade takes time and it's expensive. So in that case, yeah, a metal detector would probably be worth it, but on a bandsaw mill, not so much. Well, that's my summary. Yep, these snails just kill me, and you can hear it when you run through them. And you know, I want to say public service announcement: don't use these in trees, but I have a hammock on my own property with these and 2 trees, so just keep that in mind. Thanks so much for watching.